To start, you will need to remove the old wire from the bow by loosening screws 5 and 6 on the left and right side of the unit. With the screws loosened, you can pull out the old wire. After the wire is removed, you will need to apply some form of clamp to the bow to hold it securely to the table you're working on. With the bow firmly in place, you can now unspool your wire. Start running the wire by leaving about 4 to 5 inches of wire left here on the right hand side. You'll use this later to tighten down the wires in the middle. Start running the wire on screw 6 on the right hand side, and then follow it by running it to the left on screw 5 and then over your first screw. Tighten down screw number 6. Now that you have started your wire, you can run the rest of your wire over the rest of your screw post. Simply pulling it kind of tight and looping it around each post. You may use leather gloves for this. It will help you pull the wire tighter. When you reach the last post, you want to wrap it and then wrap it to the left side of screw 5 and to the right of screw 6 and tighten down screw 6. This will hold all your wire in place. With the wire now being held in place by screw 6 on the left and right side, you will now need your tensioner that came with your wire kit. The tensioner, you'll need to put in the flathead screw into the unit and place it on the right hand side with the screw towards the bottom. You'll next need to run the wire underneath the screw head and tighten it down. Now that the wire is securely under the head, make sure it has a full half turn underneath the screw head. Just running it along one side, the wire is liable to pop out. Once it's in place, simply pry back on it. As you'll see, the wire starting to get tight, and kind of string it a little bit. And then what you're going to want to do is take your nut driver and tighten screw number 6 back down in place. This will hold the wire tight. You can now remove the wire from your tensioner. You'll now need to apply the tensioner to the left-hand side. Do this by wrapping the wire around the screw head, pushing it flat, and tightening down. With your tensioner secure, you can now loosen screw 6, which is holding the wire in place. And all you're going to do is pry back. And as you can see, the wire gets tight. What you're going to do is strum it a little bit. And in strumming it, what that'll do is help it get as tight as it needs to be. Once you feel it all pretty tight across here, making a nice even sound, tighten down screw 6. You can now remove your tensioner. You may need to go back to your right and or left side to get this as tight as it needs to be. As you can see, there's a little bit of variation here in the thickness of each wire. That should be all right, but you might need to go back in and tighten it down a little bit. So what you'll need to do is just apply the tensioner back, or the wire back to your tensioner, tighten it down, loosen screw 6, and pull the wire as tight as you can. As you can see, a little bit of slack has came out of this. And simply strumming it again will allow you to get this as tight as it needs to be. Tighten screw 6. And repeat the process on the left-hand side. With your wires pulled tight, you can now tighten down screw 5 on your left and right-hand side. And remove the excess wire. With the bow strung with the wire back in it, you can now apply the bow back to your frame simply by placing your bow to your frame and sliding your pin through the back. Be sure that the screws on the bow are facing down. If this is flipped the other way, it will not open and close properly. Now with the bow back in place, you will need to check for operation. When you open and close this, the wires should flow through your grooves freely. If it's hitting on any of them, this will cause the wire to break over time. So you want to make sure that they're not hitting between any of these grooves. If they are, what you'll need to do is adjust them. You can do it with a screwdriver simply by prying it to the left or to the right, whichever way it needs to go, or by torquing the bow to the left or to the right. This has been how to change your wire